Hello, friends. I am so excited to be here today. I have the one and only Laura Doman joining us from Georgia. Today, I am extremely thrilled to talk about this topic because it is something that I see so many business owners struggle with, and that is just getting on stage and growing their business through speaking. So, Laura Doman is an actor, and she is here to give us some tips. So, first of all, Laura, thank you for being on the show. I am so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and share what I know with everyone.
Yeah. So, Laura, tell us first a little bit just about your journey as an actor and how you have come into the business that you're in now.
Absolutely. It's kind of almost full circle. I actually started off in the corporate world. I am a corporate turned creative. I began as an IT sales exec and did that for a number of years, but then decided I want to really follow my passion because even while I was doing all the razzle dazzle sales stuff, I still loved being on stage, on film, on TV, whatever I could do. And so I decided I was going to take the plunge and become an actor full time. And that's what I've been doing now since 2016. I got my training. I have been working very hard at it. I've been doing improv. I studied with Second City, even back in my corporate days.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then started working in film, TV, commercials, industrials. I've been doing voiceover since 2017. Everything from animating, talking, nagging goldfish to characters on Tyler Perry studio shows to commercials and video narrations. And then I decided, you know what? I see a lot of people that are struggling, especially since COVID, to really get their message across on camera. And a lot of people don't know how to do it right.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just stiff and scared or uncomfortable. They don't know what the equipment or what to say or do. Others are great in person, but they haven't yet mastered this new media because it is quite different. So I thought, I think I'm going to write up a few blogs and a few YouTube videos. And now I've been doing that for a number of years, and I'm coaching people, and I'm still acting. I'm still walking the talk, talking the walk, but I kind of come full circle because I still love the corporate world.
Yeah. So tell me your ideal client, like the people that you normally work with, what is their number one struggle?
That the fact that their videos are not getting results. Their virtual presentations, their speaking engagements, they are not converting enough leads to clients. They're not getting the traffic to the website, and they don't know what's wrong. And oftentimes, it's not the content, it's their delivery. And that's where I come in because I blend the on-camera acting techniques I learned as a working actor with public speaking, of which I do a lot, as well as the traditional sales, which, I did, well, back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth.
So, Laura, thinking of that, what are some of the delivery strategies that you notice? One, maybe they're lacking and it's preventing those conversions from happening in their business. And what are some strategies that you help them discover and uncover as an actor?
Absolutely. Well, let me tell you one of my best tips, and most people don't realize, is that when you are talking to the camera, whether you have a live audience or it's recorded, it's really a personal experience. You're not talking to a nebulous group of people or an audience full of a bunch of heads you can't see because the lights are in your eyes. No, people mostly watch or they listen one-on-one. And that's one reason why people might get crushes on some of their favorite TV characters. They feel like there is a connection because you do create a connection. So how do you do that? Number one tip, talk to one person. Come up with somebody that you know is a good friend. Maybe they're in your corner like your mom. Put their picture, if you have to, right next to the camera lens, because a lot of people get very uncomfortable talking to a green light, red light, whatever you got. It's not normal. Put a picture of somebody and look into their eyes. And then you're going to have a more conversational feel. You're going to be talking one-on-one with somebody, and the person on the other end is going to feel that. And it's going to make a huge difference.
It really does. And I love the idea that you put just a picture, especially if you're doing like a Zoom webinar, put it on the side and just have that conversation like you're talking to a friend. I know I hear a lot of marketers talk about when you're writing copy, have just one person that you're writing to and picture that person, that ideal avatar, give it a name, give them a name and talk to them directly. And then I love to hear you say how that transfers to speaking on a stage as well.
It does. And one thing I want to mention is when we talk about avatars, keep in mind that yes, our audience could be, well, that avatar, this kind of person, that situation. But it is great to have one that represents your ideal, because then other people say, oh, that sounds great, but I wonder if you can help me with this or that. And you bring them in anyways. Now,
Yeah.
you're also asking about how I work with people. Right now, I'm working one-on-one because it's very much of a personal, unique sort of thing. Down the group, probably do with a group. But mostly I'm finding everybody comes from somewhere different and they have different concerns. For example, I just worked with a client who is an executive with a nonprofit, and it was mostly trying to work on in-person presentations because she was very smart, very professional, but she did not have that approachable, relatable vibe to her.
Mhm.
And a lot of that was getting her out of her own head. I hate to say it, but especially women suffer from a lot of brutal self-judgment. We
Yeah.
have a narrative going on in our head. Oh my gosh, do I look good? Am I young enough? Am I attractive enough? Oh, I got a pimple here. And are they going to really listen to me? And maybe I got to be your friend. And you forget about the message. You got to focus on the message. There are other people, perhaps, who are great on stage. For example, an attorney that I'm working with, wonderful as a panelist, wonderful one-on-one, freezes up when there's a camera and she just can't talk.
Oh no.
And again, that's part mindset, but it's also part of technique. And also, she was used to going here, there. And when the camera, you can't get too carried away because whoop, you're going to be out of frame. And you don't want to look like you're just peeking over the ledge. You have to have everything set up properly. There are other people that just are just so nervous. They know they can do fine once they get started. I help them with mindset and with preparation. And number one, here's another tip. You see this thing? H2O water?
Yes.
That's what you need to be
I got mine
drinking.
too.
See, you're already halfway there.
Uh-huh.
And you don't just start drinking once you sit down in front of the camera. Start an hour or two beforehand.
Yep.
Get yourself hydrated. I go with a lot of exercises that take maybe 5 minutes at most. First of all, to get your body in the mood, to get your voice, your face, so that you're comfortable in your body and you're relaxed. Because if you're all tense and tight and scared, it's going to come out.
Yeah.
And here's another tip. People are going to be looking at you in your eyes, and they're going to be judging that. Do you believe what you say? And therefore, can I believe what you say? And does this make sense for me? Because when you are in person, people are taking in with their peripheral vision everything around you, 3D, the people around them. But no, when you're on camera, tight frame, and mostly it's going to be head and shoulders. And you have got to be authentic and real. So you don't have to be shouty man with Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Like you might have to be on a stage to get to that person at the back of the room. You speak naturally, comfortably. And you don't even have to be all hyper and energetic. I mean, I could come off like an Energizer bunny sometimes.
Uh-huh.
You don't need to do that. If you're soft-spoken and thoughtful, you can be just as effective. And you can get into things that I call like dynamic delivery that have nothing to do with wacka, wacka, wacka.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, oftentimes when I'm speaking with the client, working with them on stage delivery, they, will say to me, Alyssa, I'm not loud and proud like you are. I don't know how to be dynamic. And I'm like, that's not what dynamic means. That might be dynamic for one person, but you can be dynamic in a soft-spoken tone as well. It really is. How are you making your audience feel in those moments?
Yes. Absolutely. And the key watchword of the year, everybody say it with me, authenticity.
Yeah.
Don't try to be something you're not.
Yep.
You are who you are. And if you're quiet and you're thoughtful, you can come across as very considerate and concerned about your listener, your viewer, somebody who listens and is not just selling, somebody who takes it in and speaks from an expert perspective. And so you can speak quieter and slower. But what I love to work with people, no matter what their style, would be those elements of dynamic delivery. And just to give you an idea, it's things like using pauses effectively, being able to vary your pace and your tone and your speed, the excitement in your voice, the emotion. And here's another little gem for you. If you really want to connect with people, yes, the idea is the content's important. But what really gets down deep is the fact that everything is a story. And we all relate to stories and images, and it's the emotion behind it that propels it. So
Yeah.
when you can touch somebody's heart and get them feeling about something or remembering something that they experienced, you're going to go a long, long way. And that's what actors do, by the way.
Yeah. Well, and I think that also speaks to choosing one person to talk to and having that person in your head, because
Yes.
it's going to help you connect and tell your story like you're just sitting down and talking to a pal, and that connects to the audience. So I do want to ask you to kind of go back a little bit into making the sale, making the pitch.
Yes.
Oftentimes many people feel sleazy. They don't want to come across sleazy. They don't want to come across as pushy. But having this true conviction, like if you believe in your product, in your services, it's not going to come across as sleazy. And so tell us maybe what are some strategies whenever we're like giving that pitch to kind of reduce our anxiety on, oh, I don't want to feel guilty about this. I don't, a lot of people are hesitant.
Well, I'm going to reach in my back pocket and tell you something that I learned back when I was with IBM and doing the sales with a big hard iron, the computers and everything that filled up a floor. Yeah, they used to fill up a floor, 2 floors with raised air conditioning. And that is the consultative sale. Nobody likes being sold to. Nobody wants to hear a sales pitch. Nobody wants to be feeling pushed or forced. But they do want their problem solved.
Yes.
They want their pain taken away. And they want somebody who listens, understands, cares, and offers a solution that could very well be a fit. So don't go pushy.
Yeah.
Let's listen to what your audience has to say. If it's interactive, if you have a presentation, if you're speaking to a crowd, bring them in. You ask the questions. You might take a poll, and you can do this in a very fun way. And you bring out things that make them part of your presentation, because otherwise they're going to disappear into their phones, or maybe even leave the room or leave the chat, or just they're gone. You got to keep them with you. But when you are selling, realize you may not be the perfect fit for everybody, but for some of you, we're going to be the thing you have been looking for.
Yeah.
And that's going to resonate because, first of all, that's true. Nothing fits. One size never fits all. I'm sorry. I've tried on those clothes. They don't.
They don't.
Believe me, I'm out of there. What you tried to tell me. People have, and we are not alike. I've always had this little bugaboo. It's like, well, and people like you. You don't know me. You don't know what I want or need. And I will not be grouped with a bunch of faceless others because I'm not a category. I'm a human being. I'm an individual. Even when you're dealing with a group of people, you can still talk to them personally. And you be honest and you be authentic about your message. This is what I offer. These are the kind of problems I solve. And I can get you from A to B to C. And here's how I do it. And I am, as I've done today, going to give you a taste of it. And maybe what we need to do is to explore it. Always invite people in to have a conversation, ideally by Zoom. And that way you can understand where they're coming from. And you can think, and by the way, you do exude credibility and authority when you do so, because you're not just throwing your package out there. Yeah, I think this is what I can put together for you. Yeah, this is how I think I can help you. People are much more likely to be interested and to consider doing business with you. Now, it's never going to be a definite thing. There are a lot of tire kickers out there. A lot of people want free things. Great, that's fine. But if you really want to get a problem solved, then I might be the right person to do it. And that is how I approach it. And I can go into a lot more about that, how the acting kind of comes into that, or the voice acting and the business. But that is the essence of it. And that comes right from real business experience. And I did both multi-million-dollar deals with the big Fortune 100, as well as all the little startups. And even when you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, it's the same concept. How can I help you?
Yeah. And that, Laura, you make it sound so simple. Like it is. How can I help you? And when you go into it with that servant's heart, it's not going to be sleazy or pushy.
No.
It's going to be actually comforting to people because.
Yeah, and also know that sometimes there isn't a fit, and be honest.
Okay.
So that if somebody has a problem and you are not the best person for them, and or you might like the money, but you'd have to stretch yourself, but you know somebody else who can help,
Yep.
be that referral. It will come back to you tenfold. Network. Networking is so important. Find out other people in adjacent businesses, maybe even people who do what you do, maybe slightly different to a different audience, because there will be that cross pollination and it only enhances your reputation. And it is a successful strategy in the end.
Absolutely. Now, okay, so I want to talk about on-stage webinars and masterclass.
Yes.
Sometimes it can be hard to get your audience to engage. You know, you want to build that momentum, but you also want to make sure that you're bringing your audience along. And I know that it's very different when you're in person versus on a virtual event. What are some strategies that you can give for business owners when they're hosting online events to engage your audience?
Oh, I was just talking to a podcast host about that who was asking the same kind of question. And it
Yeah.
applies for guests as well as hosts and anybody who's presenting. First of all, this is whether you're live, on stage, or even making a video. You got to grab them with a hook, as they call it, in those first few seconds. None of this, hi, my name is Laura Doman, and they're gone. They're
Yes.
zoned out. No, there are a number of techniques you can start out that will get their attention right away. First of all, throw out a question, a provocative statement, a story. Put a challenge on the audience. I mean, let's just say, let me just throw something out, and I'm making this up totally on the fly here. Okay, let's say that you are a baker and you make the best chocolate chip cookies and you're really trying to get them out there and everybody wants to try them. And you can even start off, okay, how many people love chocolate? Well, hands will go up. All right, who prefers, peanut butter? Whatever. What if we can get it together? No, we're not talking about a Reese, buttercup or whatever. I want to tell you about what I'm talking about. And, but you're getting an idea out there. Or you might just be putting out a story. So, for example, let's say you are running a healthcare center. You might even say, the other night we had a young man come in and he was not responsive and nobody knew what the problem was. But we also know that we were going to lose him soon if we didn't get the diagnostics. This is what we had to do, and this is what you do in an emergency situation. So you're immediately getting people into a story.
Yeah.
And then you can reference that throughout. You could even start off with something like this. My favorite number is 82. What? That's the audience. You think, why is 82 my favorite number? Because 82% of all content out there that people watch is video. And if you're not on video in your business, you're missing out. That gets attention.
It does.
Yeah. So from the very beginning, have that kind of a hook, something that engages them, and they'll immediately be there. Then, especially if you are doing something live, let's say there is a chat, throw out a question. And you could say, this is what happened to me. I was getting all ready for this great presentation and my mic stopped working. Hey, has anybody has that happened to you? Put yes in the chat if it has. Oh, yeah. I can see that Thomas had this problem. Jim, I can relate. He didn't even have a backup. Well, there's Mary. Fortunately, she's got a big booming voice and, hey, it was perfectly fine. And you can ask those kinds of questions. I like to sometimes to say there are 3 different types of people that I often help, and I will name them as fairy tale characters. One is a Pinocchio, one is the Frog Prince, the other is Cinderella. I'll describe each. If this is you, put down 1, 2, or 3. Okay, yeah, we got a lot of Pinocchios out there. Talk about it. And people love that. Bring it up. You can even have these interactive polls if you know how to work them, or if you have an assistant, where you can just say, okay, 80% of people are finding that they are too scared to show their face on camera. Well, why is that? And then be ready to pivot. Yeah. That's the other thing. Have a script, have a presentation, but I just want to tell people, please do not read it.
Don't do it.
No, and even if you have a teleprompter and it's recorded, we do not want to see this. No. Or a presentation where you're reading the words to the audience. Thank you very much. We can read those ourselves.
Yes.
No. Let's pare it down. And that's what I did with a recent client. Get those words off of that page. You put a picture, you put 3 things that people wonder about, and they'll talk and listen to you because you're out there explaining what's going on. And guess what? When you're not reading, you're yourself. And this person who was very stiff and formal started cracking jokes, and she was smiling and calling herself by her first name in the presentation. And she was lovely. We loved her. And it made a world of difference. So you can even put fun things in your presentation to keep people in there that they're not expecting. I've seen people put little comics, put little videos in there. It doesn't have to just be you talking on camera. It doesn't just have to be video. Put quotes. Bring in something else. Bring in humor. As long as it's relatable and it vibes with your audience, mix it up. If you're going to be presenting straight like this, let's say this is a webinar, I might stop the share once in a while. So then instead of seeing me as a little tiny box up in the corner, you're going to see me. All right, let's get back to the show. And boom, we're back to the share. And that's pattern interruption too, visually.
Yep.
People are getting different inputs. Now, let me also tell you that if you're going to make a video and you're going to record it and put it out there, caption it. Always caption it. First of all, it makes those who are not able to hear very well or not allowed to listen in the office when they're supposed to do real work, they can follow along, and it's helping AI and SEO find you. So make sure you're always captioning. You'll probably double or triple your audience.
Yeah, man, Laura, a couple of things that you said, I want to kind of revisit and just highlight.
Sure.
You didn't say it, but you modeled it. One of the best ways to just increase engagement, it's a little move, is to say the participants' names. Like when you said they were responding, you were like, oh, Tommy, Shonda, all of, like you were calling out their names. That's a huge engagement.
And we perk up our name. Our name.
Even they said my name.
Even if it's a totally different Alyssa, it's like, hello, squirrel.
Exactly. And even if you don't have them comment in the chat, just look at who's in the room and you can be like, Billy, I know what you're thinking. You know, like just say those names. And, I'm a former educator. And one of the things that we always did too, it just increase attention was proximity. And, making sure that you're moving around the room the whole time. And so obviously on camera, you can't do that. But you're doing it when you minimize, you take off the screen share and you pop back up on the screen. And that's just like a proximity move where, hey, I'm coming closer to you.
There are other techniques. If I were to move back, you could see a huge difference.
Yes.
Or if I'm going to say something, Alyssa, I'm going to talk to you and I'm only going to say it once. It's only a few inches I moved, because one thing to keep in mind is when you're on camera, small, it's huge on screen. Yeah. And if you're going to be on stage and if you're having trouble moving, this is also great to get your audience wondering, what is she up to? They're on a stage. You might even have 6 tables. On each object, on each table, there might be an object. So, for example, you might be talking about a book. Mm-hmm. Another one, you might be talking about, your charger. I'm just pulling up what I have. And they're all part of your presentation. And to move from one to the other. The trick is to walk without talking, stand there, look at them, and then talk, because they will lose the words and they need to see your face. That is going to be true whether you're in person or on camera. When you're talking to people, try to speak face on, or it's okay, a little bit off. Don't show them a profile. Nobody wants to see that. They want to see the face. So when you are going around, or if you're ever using like a flip chart or a whiteboard, take the time, boom, 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 and then come back and talk to them. Because unless you're wearing like a lavalier mic, which I've got on, or something, it may not catch your voice, and you'll fade in or out. And people want to make sure they're hearing what they need to hear. Yeah. So you use it as a visual aid. So I like to walk around. Or sometimes you're just going to sit up and stand if you're going to be in person. Or, on camera, you could just kind of slouch a little bit. All right, now we're kind of relaxed and talking. There are lots of things you could do. So know what frame people see and what you have to work with, whether it's real life or teeny tiny, and do that.
Well, Laura, I think about growing business owners. You and I are business owners. We know a lot of business owners. and they are afraid to get on stage. They're great at what they do. They're amazing. But getting on stage, doing a video intimidates them. One, why is it necessary, important for us to be more visible and to get on stage and get on camera?
I'm going to first of all talk from a PR perspective, and I am not a PR person.
Uh-huh.
But you've got to be. And PR is a little different than marketing. Marketing is straight selling. PR is visibility. And if it's hard for you to come up with something about your business, let's say maybe you're an accountant, and I'm not putting down accountants because I was a finance major in college. So yeah, but you might just think, what can I do that is going to get people interested? You might find some humorous things about it, but people are going to want to do business with you. And when they start seeing you, then they're going to be more curious about what you do. You don't have to talk about finance or accounting. Maybe you're really interested in gardening or cooking or something else like that. And it doesn't have to be dancing on TikTok. It doesn't even have to be anything about your personal life. But let me just throw a few things out there. People are going to be searching for you. AI, SEO, human beings, and you have to be out there somewhere. You do need a website. And if you don't have that, but you are on, let's say, any kind of social media, you have to have something where people can at least assess your credibility. You may not make sales directly from the social media, but they're going to see if you are truly who you are and what you say you are.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you've got to reveal everything about yourself, because I certainly don't. I'm a private person, and I don't put family members out there unless they really want to, and I get their permission. But people can become familiar with who you are and what you have to offer. So first of all, you can make little videos about anything else that you want. And if you're not comfortable with that, you don't even have to have your face on camera a whole lot. You can be able to narrate it or have somebody narrate it for you and show what you're able to do.
Yeah.
You might be able to share some information about a place you went or recommendations of restaurants. You can think about things like that. If you're afraid or don't know how to make that very first video, and oftentimes it's just kind of breaking the ice, that's one of the services that I offer. In fact, we can make a quick little social media video together in a few seconds. I demonstrate how to do that in one of the video series I do on my playlist on YouTube.
Uh-huh.
It's called Momisms. And this is an exact example of what I am trying to describe. Have you, people listening, watching, ever walked on vacation into a gift shop and you're looking at these funny things on towels and cocktail napkins? I put those each into little videos. They're usually not more than 4 to 10 seconds long. And I tweak it for me because as an actor, I want people to see what I can do. But I'm also all about being humorous and being myself. So I make these into tiny, tiny little one-act plays. And I, for example, just to give you my very first one, I was in my kitchen. I just set up my iPhone. You don't need anything fancy, by the way. And I put on an apron and I started making like a little chocolate mix. And I had the camera running and I said one of them. And it was, good moms let you lick the beater. Great ones turn it off first.
That's
cute. And boom, it's done.
Yeah.
And you get a great response. And people get to know you. They get to see you. Even if it's not your own words or whatever, but you're out there. People are seeing it. And so I've ended up doing, I got like 135 of them or so and still counting. And I'm becoming known for those. But that's not everything you have to do. For example, let's say you're an author. And I happen to be an author. I was part of a collaborative book that was spearheaded by, I was very fortunate, a world-renowned marketer and a best-selling author himself, the one I just showed. And I was talking about, oh, this cool book came out. My chapter is all about video and leveraging YouTube. And then about a year later, I came out with another one. And I said, guess what? It's in Korean. I got a Korean version. How cool is that? Boy, did people love that video. And that was just me. That was just me being authentic. Nothing overly personal, just general enthusiasm. People love to see good news, and they want to see you as a person. If you're going to be on LinkedIn, and I spend a lot of time on there, the personal element is going to draw more views and more engagement than anything else. Now, that doesn't mean it's not supposed to be a Facebook, Instagram, or a TikTok, but you mix it in. Let me just tell you about something that happened spur of the moment. My daughter just came back from a semester abroad studying in Europe.
Oh.
And I went to visit her for a little mother-daughter trip in April. And I got to see where she lived. And then we got to go running around Paris. And I let her organize everything. And I'm telling you, I was running around with a 20-year-old Energizer bunny herself. And we did 2 weeks worth of stuff in 1 week. On the plane, I didn't even make a video of this. On the plane, I wrote a post and I attached a picture of me in the Louvre with the Mona Lisa way back there, because that's all you could get. Look at that, really dorky. And I put it on LinkedIn. It got tons of response. And within 12 hours, I even heard back from a sociologist who writes about, 50, 60 books. And she said, guess what? I am talking about relationships. I'm talking about time management. And I had talked about in that post, not just a mother-daughter trip and how great it was and to see her grow and do all that stuff, but also the fact that in Europe people sit and they have coffee and they talk to each other and they're not buried in their phones all the time. And she said, can I use it in my book? Yeah. So you think I got a lot of visibility from that?
Exactly.
I mean, and I wasn't even thinking. That was just really quick. It's easy. And it was a dorky picture. You could certainly find it. I mean, it could be anything. Just something else that was really funny. I was just kind of Googling myself to see what came up. And I Googled my maiden name. And lo and behold, I am now vintage. Yeah. This isn't even funny. Back when I was 12 years old, I loved art contests. And there was something in our newspaper that was really around the country about an art contest. Decorate this tiny little strip in the comics. Back when we used to get the funnies on Sundays and the kids did all that. You clip it out, decorate it. And I decided, okay, I'm going to decorate it. I'm going to do it all in glitter. My mother said, that is the gaudiest thing I've ever seen. They'll probably like it. Well, it ended up winning a national prize.
Oh my gosh.
It was a globe, a talking globe. It came with a record. That's how old it was. And I was in the newspaper and I was just so proud. There I was, pre-adolescent, dorky as anything, my hair, glasses, just going, oh, this is my globe. And I guess the photographer must have died. His kids went through his stuff and they decided we'll make some money off of this. And so there is my dorky 12-year-old picture. Somebody's trying to sell for $50. I made a post about that.
Oh my God. Did you buy it?
No.
Oh, you should have bought
I had
it.
the original newspaper clipping that my mother, cut out.
Yeah.
It's all yellowed and weathered. But it's like, I'm not really sure I want to be remembered like that.
But I love what you're saying though, Laura, because it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be. So many business owners are worried about it being so polished, it looking perfect. It doesn't have to be. And so just start with simple things.
And I'm so glad you said it doesn't have to be polished, because let me tell you this, and it's even more true in the world of AI. Perfection is boring.
It is.
AI could do perfect. So what? What people really want to see? The train wreck.
They do.
They
like it.
Well, first of all, it's just like when you're presenting, and here's something else. Don't go in there as the expert. I have a YouTube channel of, 100,000 subscribers, and give the impression it was always like that. Well, all I'm going to think of is like, that's great for you, but I can't do that. I'm sitting at 350 or something. No, what's effective is the journey. And say, I'm not perfect. Boy, did I fall on my face. I used to be this. I used to be that. Oh, and by the way, then I learned how to do this or that. And now that's why I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
Much more effective. So do not be perfect. The phone, the cell, the Android, whatever you got is fine. And, you can always fix it up in post, but don't spend a lot of time on it, because more people are watching the real unfiltered stuff than anything that's really flashy and cool looking. And those little videos that I have made for conferences and everything else, they were through Zoom, through this, and they didn't take a lot. I even edited them in Instagram.
Yeah.
Super easy. Can teach
Super
you in a bit of time.
And so just get started, because you want that visibility. You want to grow your business. I am more likely to buy from someone that I do feel a connection with. And the only way you can do that is through becoming visible.
You know what? I am going to be speaking at a conference in November. And I'm calling it The Shameless Hussie's Guide to Self-Promotion. And I use the shameless hussy for my, guide to on-camera confidence. But it's the idea of stop worrying about yourself, put it out there, do the little bit of hustling. And there are a lot of different other areas to promote yourself that I want to bring out. First of all, there are a lot of places that are desperately looking for content. They're looking not just for guests for interviews for podcasts and webinars, but there are magazines like Voyage is one. They have them for different cities. They're always looking for small business people in their communities who are doing interesting things. And they will ask you a series of questions. You write them up and boom, you got instant publicity, which you can then put everywhere. So you don't even have to be on video. If you're trying to promote yourself and you don't know how to get onto it, yeah, I can help you do it. But if you just say, it's not for me, I'm never going to do it, whatever, guess what? You can either hire somebody to do it, bingo, or you could put photos, you could put video of other things, B-roll, and you can either talk over it or hire a voice actor to do it for you. Bingo. You don't even have to be there except to have your face or this or something else. Let me tell you this. I love my farmer's market on Saturday mornings. I've gotten to know all the vendors, and there's some really cool people there. I was talking just last Saturday with a woman who makes this incredible gluten-free French bread, baguettes, and she's French. And my husband's gluten-free, which means we can't have a lot of the good stuff at home. Mm-hmm. But she had samples, and they were so good. I said, Tati, can I make a little video promo for you? You could put it on your Instagram. I'll put it on mine. Oh, no, I don't want to be on camera. All you have, it's like, that's fine. Why don't you just stand there and smile, and I'll do all the talking and give you a testimonial. I can do that. And guess what? I made it, and it was like maybe not even 30 seconds. And then I went around, and this is Tati, and she didn't say, hi, please come and visit me. Yeah. Thank you. And she was smiling, and she looked great. And I said, guess what, Tati? You were just on video.
And crushing it.
And she had no idea because she wasn't even thinking about it. She was thinking, oh, this is kind of cool. How is she doing that for me? She's just doing it right away? Yeah, in the moment. Which, by the way, is an acting technique.
Yeah. Gosh, Laura, all this information is so valuable, so important. And I know that you have a free offer for the audience today. Tell us about it. What is it?
I do. If you go to my website, lauradoman.com/gift, and I know that Alyssa will put it out there for you to see.
I'm putting it out there.
You're going to get a PDF of my top 10 tips to really show up on camera and be yourself, be charismatic, and help you win more clients, and convert those leads. And if you want even more stuff, I have a LinkedIn newsletter. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Laura Doman. And I also have a YouTube channel, and I have videos on the series as well. So come and visit me, and I'd love to hear from you.
And Laura, audience, everything is going to be in the show notes. So I'm going to drop those links now. Go get these 10 tips. Like, they are gold. And I've already watched some of Laura's videos. They're so helpful. So go explore her library, go on YouTube, follow Laura for more tips on how to become a successful speaker. And business owners, this is for you. It's not just a suggestion. It's a directive. Go learn how to be a more powerful speaker. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Laura, so much for joining me today.
Oh, it is my pleasure. And I would welcome anybody to reach out directly if you want to know how to work with me.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Have a